Alrighty guys, so as you can see behind me, Revelstoke Train Museum. So we're gonna go inside and we're gonna check out the history of trains in Revelstoke and the BC area. Alrighty, so let's get her going here. Sanford Fleming surveying parties. Sanford Fleming was the one that did the time zones. However, the desire for a shorter, more southern route was still in the minds of many. This combined with the financial problems created a rampant land speculation along the Yellowhead Route, resulting in an abrupt change of plans. The railway could head across the southern prairies towards the Continental Divide, although passes through the southern Rockies and Selkirks were yet to be found. The change of the 1881 route, Sanford Fleming's proposed route, Portage la Prairie, Lake Winnipeg, Battleford, Edmonton, Yellowhead Pass, Kamloops. But what they actually ended up doing was going from Rat Portage to Brandon, Regina, Moose Jaw, Calgary, Kicking Horse Pass, Rogers Pass, and Eagle Pass. The first surveys in the vicinity of the Selkirks were by David Thompson, surveyor and explorer of the Northwest Company. Starting in 1807, his 1812-1814 map shows the Selkirk Range as the Nelson Mountains, which are named after the British Admiral Horatio Nelson. Walter Moberly. Moberly was appointed district engineer to the Canadian Pacific Railway in June 1871. During his time, he surveyed the area between Shuswap Lake and the eastern foothills of the Rocky Mountains, including Howes and Eagle Passes. In 1865, he explored the Illichilewit River in search of the shortest feasible route, the low-level road to connect the Pacific to the prairies. Moberly and his assistants were the first white people recorded to have penetrated the region. On the trip, he found a route through the Monashee Mountains called Eagle Pass. Major Albert B. Rogers. In 1881, A.B. Rogers, the railway pathfinder, discovered the mountain pass through the Selkirks that bears his name. In the spring of 81, Rogers set out to discover a direct route across the Selkirks. Canadian Pacific promised him $5,000 bonus if he was successful and told him where a pass discovered it would be named after him. By the end of that surveying season, he had claimed to have spotted a summit that would become known as Rogers Pass. Surveying and leveling rod, 1880s rod used by William Kirby, an early Revelstoke resident. Kirby surveyed the snow sheds for the Canadian Pacific Railway main line east of Revelstoke. He later surveyed the town site of Revelstoke. Yeah, it's a dumpy. Dumpy or builder's level. Transit is vertically, so you can only cite horizontal elevations with this. Velocipede, nice. This three-wheeled handcar was used by track watchmen mainly for track inspection purposes. It is lightweight and its three-wheel design made it easy to remove from the tracks. Bridges and snow sheds. Set in the striking natural surroundings and spectacular in design, the bridges of the Canadian Pacific in British Columbia hold a timeless appeal. Most of the original bridges were cut on site from cut timbers. Some were prefabricated, allowing quicker installation with the crews working at both ends of the structure at once. Timber bridges had a short lifespan and were eventually replaced with steel and stone ones. Between 1886 and 1888, 31 snow sheds were constructed along Rogers Pass section between Bear Creek and Ross Peak. Added together, they totaled more than 5 miles in length, 1/3 of 16-mile section of track. The cost of constructing the snow sheds was steep, but were an absolute necessity. In addition, Van Horn ordered extra tracks laid along the outside of the sheds for summer use. This afforded passengers the luxury of enjoying the breathtaking views, cleaner air, and reduced chances of the snow sheds catching fire. Spiral tunnels completed in 1909. After 2 years of construction, the spiral tunnels did away with the problem of the big steep grade between Field and Hector, known as the Big Hill. The upper spiral tunnel number 1 is 992 meters long, makes a turn at 234 degrees in the base of Cathedral Mountain. The lower tunnel number 2 is located on the opposite side of the valley, cut into Mount Ogden. It curves 232 degrees and is 890 meters long. In 1916, the completion of the double-track Connaught Tunnel under Mount Macdonald eliminated the use of hazardous Loop Brook section. The 8-kilometer tunnel was noteworthy for its pioneer tunnel system of construction. Smaller pioneer tunnels ran parallel to this access of the main tunnel. This allowed the work to be carried out at several points along the tunnel route at the same time and provided better ventilation for the crews. Drill crew in the Connaught Tunnel. Construction through difficult Rogers Pass area was marked by rainstorms, mudslides, forest fires, avalanches, and ironically the ever-present hazard of snowslides. Made worse by the construction itself, blasting along the line and burning of trees on the slopes of the narrow valleys aggravated the problem. Huge ravines had to be spanned on the eastern side of the summit. The steep grade on the west side engendered one of the most intricate engineering solutions of the transcontinental line. In an effort to avoid threatening avalanche paths, to keep the Ross track at 2.2%, James Ross created a series of sweeping loops that traversed Illichilewit 13 times and lengthened the line about 5 kilometers. They were saying before the tunnels there, they had to use the Loop Brook to get for the hill. Tongs, picaroon, axe, grinding wheel. The 24-hour clock, Sanford Fleming. Developed by surveyor Sanford Fleming into the global 24-hour uniform time zones. Eliminated hundreds of confusing and inconsistent local times. Yeah, because before, guys, the observatory in England there, Greenwich Mean Time. The Greenwich Mean Line. Arrowhead model. Minto model. That's the Minto. SS Minto. Oh, the Minto. Little stern wheeler. Oh, a donkey there. Steam donkey. Logging truck. This is the rail yard, the barge, the tugboat pushing the barge, Arrowhead Timber Company. Oh, gauges used by carmen to inspect the wheels. Single car air test machine. So this is how they would have tested air brakes back in the day. It's electronic now, but 90 pounds of pressure there. Westinghouse Air Brake Division. Norris Roy Buck Crump. Born into the railway family, Norris R. Buck Crump was raised in Revelstoke. He started working for the CPR as an engine wiper at age 16, working full-time during the day and earning his high school diploma at night. Throughout his career, Crump held nearly every position in the operating and motive power departments. In 1955, he became president of the Canadian Pacific Railway and was promoted to chairman in 61. He held his position until his retirement in 71. Buck Crump's leadership brought tremendous change to the CPR. Crump was personally on hand to accept the first diesel locomotive, number 7001, in 1949, and led the company's transition from steam to diesel power. This Revelstokian, who worked his way up the CPR ladder to the company's highest position, is still remembered for his colorful personality and the lasting impact he had on the railway. Locomotive 7001 was the first diesel-electric locomotive to travel across CPR's mountain subdivision. The FP7 test unit was built by the Electromotive Division of General Motors in LaGrange, Illinois. It was painted in EMD color scheme and sported the GM logo on its nose. The demonstrator was composed of streamlined FP97, a unit and cab, two cabless FP7B units. Each provided 1,500 horsepower and was designed for maximum versatility, making the 7001 equally capable for use in freight or passenger service. The biggest and best steam locomotives were assigned to the mountain subdivision where steep grades required the most power. However, Halcrum locomotives were still needed in the most difficult areas. When Blue Boy tackled the mountain grades from Calgary to Revelstoke with no assistance, it signaled a beginning of a new era. The engine passed through Revelstoke for the first time on January 12, 1950. On its way to Vancouver, it was greeted at Revelstoke Station by a crowd of curious onlookers who were eager to see the highly anticipated engine. The atmosphere of the crowd was a mix of curiosity, excitement, and dread. In 1950, 91% of Canadian steam trains were pulled by steam engines. By 1960, steam engines accounted for 0.1%. And you can see all the stops here. Wigwam, Tum Tum, Clan William, Three Valley, Prickalahi, Malaqua, Bowie, Canby, Sycamoose, Notch Hill, Sidmouth, Twin Butte, Loretta, Illichilewit, Rogers, Redgrave, Donald, Golden, Glenogle, and Field. Connecting through the Columbia. The branch line of the Arrowhead was constructed in the mid-1880s and connected communities of downriver to Revelstoke and the CPR main line. Branch line trains were made frequent stops at smaller communities between Revelstoke and Arrowhead, picking up and dropping off both people and goods at Arrowhead. Freight was unloaded onto steamships and sent downriver. SS Bonington. Yeah, Revelstoke wouldn't exist without the railway. Kalamazoo handcar. Maintenance crews, known as section men, to travel the areas with track needed upkeep or repair. Handcars arrived as kits and were assembled, painted by the section men, whatever paint colors were available. Series of massive locomotives such as the 5900s and the Hudsons including the Royal Hudson and the Pacifics, all worked out of Revelstoke during the steam era, were used extensively between Field and Revelstoke. Heading west about 25 miles, the Selkirks operated as pushers as far as Taft. The weight restrictions on bridges forced them to turn around. The Mikado 5468, displayed in the main gallery of this museum, arrived in Revelstoke in the late 40s to work the laborious mountain grids for which it was designed. This engine was used for freight movements as far east as Calgary and as west as Kamloops, at times making it all the way down to Vancouver. Tracks moving, how they spread all the ballast there so they keep the timbers from moving, the ties from moving. You can see them moving, the weight of the train, and they've got all that ballast set in it so it keeps the tracks where they are, stationary. That's a caboose for monitoring with the railway. Flat car. Flat cars used to transport a variety of goods. Box cars, yeah, it's a flat deck. Road repair car. Bad wheel, bearing, flat wheel, or brake problems, this car would come to the rescue. Road repair car held all the tools needed to make necessary minor repairs. There was also a hand winch attached to the deck of the road repair car for heavy lifting. The defective railway car would be set out in the closest available siding and repaired. And then the air cylinder that runs off the air brakes, the air brake power. The volume tanks there, yep, volume tanks, and then the wings, and then the blade, and it'd go right in front of the snowplow. Used for clearing snow. We saw one of those in the cusp there. Oh, transit. Tank car. It's tank. Nice. Box cars. Diesel. General Motors, London, Ontario.